Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Simon here, and this is my review for the third episode of Star Wars Resistance. This is the third of the three that was released yesterday. I didn't quite get a chance to watch it at the same time as the other two because I had to watch Doctor Who. But this is called Fuel for the Fire, which I guess is kind of apt for the events of the episode. Now, having seen those first two episodes, obviously set the stage, introduce the characters. Again, I was expecting these early episodes to be very much about character development, letting us get to know all of the different traits and, the flaws of characters. And I think so far in these first three episodes, they have very heavily focused on the flaws of Kaz, who has been shown to be very young, very naive, and a little bit in over his head. Which is something that is fine as long as they kind of iron that out and resolve those fairly quickly. I don't mind the kind of clumsy, idiotic antics as long as we don't get that every single episode. As long as I can see the character learning from his mistakes and, developing, then that's fine. I'd say this is the first episode where I've kind of been a bit like, oh, okay, he's done something stupid again, Again, it's okay to have that in places, but I think in this episode, maybe it focused on it a little bit too much. It didn't affect the episode overall. I still think it was a decent episode. I think it was the weakest of the three so far. Because I think, as I mentioned in the episode itself, we'll look back on that and we'll look up as once you get to know the characters and you've learned, who they are and you've seen a development, you look back at this and it'll probably seem like an inconsequential episode. It really served just to show us, that again, Kaz is still very naive, to show him that Yeager, he is giving him a hard time, but there is more to it than that. I think he does have a soft spot for Kaz. There's a couple of other tidbits that we picked up on, such as Yeager having been in the rebellion, been at the Battle of Jakku, he had a family. We don't really know what happened to his family. Which is something I think they're going to pick up on as time goes on. Kaz in this episode, I wouldn't say that he was annoying, but I think it certainly has the ability for him to be annoying if it kinds on being that over-the-top kind of silliness. Like I say, it wasn't too bad this episode, because we are still getting used to the characters. As long as they tone it down from here, I'll be fine with that. We were introduced to Jace, which I correctly guessed that it was Elijah Wood who voiced him. He seemed like... At first I was kind of like, oh, okay, maybe this could be friends. And I joked about shipping and, stuff like that, because I do that. But immediately became very clear that he was going to be someone who didn't have the best interests of Kaz at heart, and he was just doing it for his own gain. And, we saw that he just wanted the fuel, which seems a bit silly to me because, he's talking about getting his opportunity to be the best and the fastest, but that fuel is going to be limited. What happens once he runs out? What's he going to do? He doesn't have a fast ship or a ship fast enough to win the race, and there's a limited amount of fuel, and it's also explosive, which you think he would know, and you think he would be very cautious about that, considering how much his ship obviously meant to him, because he was talking about how he built it himself. I get a feeling that he's going to make appearances throughout the season and kind of be like Kaz's... He's going to be Kaz's Draco Malfoy, I think. And I guess I'm comparing it like that because of the white blonde hair. Very similar to that of Draco Malfoy and Harry Potter. So it'll be interesting to see how their relationship develops. I guess I would like to see them become friends eventually. Because not every show, you don't have to have like an arch nemesis in every show, but, I guess it's just there to give them a bit of competition and, obviously a bit of a distraction for now. Again, not too much of a focus on many of the other characters. I think I would really like for us to get a bit more on the likes of Tam and Hype, and like Freya and Bo Keevil. We've only briefly seen them in the second episode, and I think that it would be good for us to get at least an idea of what they're like early on. There's been a very, very heavy focus on Kaz in this early part, and it's not necessarily a bad thing because he is the main character, but a bit of diversity doesn't do us some harm. A bit of veering off the main course would be nice. Nothing to do with the First Order in this episode. Which there's not been a lot of the First Order again. It's kind of been like the end of the 2 episodes. We've just been given little tidbits of what they're up to. And really, that's what I'm here for. I'm here for the First Order, so that for me is always going to be a disappointment if I don't see the First Order. It's not a fault, I guess, but I will be disappointed just because I am First Order. But, again, this show, it's kind of like, it's had a strong start, don't get me wrong. The first 3 episodes have been good. But I think for the first time in this episode, we've kind of seen some of what could be construed as potential issues if they're not fixed going forward. And I guess maybe the fault just lies in the fact that they released these 3 episodes on the same day, and they have all very similar kind of themes in the first 3 episodes, in terms of Kaz kind of being a bit bumbling and foolish and clumsy. And, maybe if you watch these episodes weeks apart, it wouldn't feel as bad, it wouldn't feel as glaringly obvious. But watching them kind of back to back to back, it does kind of feel like, okay, yeah, enough. You're a bumbling fool. We get it. You're lovable. And I like you so far, but I get it. You're kind of like clumsy. And I think I do want to just go and meet some of the other characters. Is it Dozer, I think, who is the leader of the station? We got a peek of him in this episode, but not much else. We still haven't even seen, I think, is it Griff? He's the former Imperial pilot. He's a character I really want to meet. I really want to find out his story and see what's going on there. And, I guess there's not really too much else to say. It was just kind of like an adventure that, I think this episode more so than maybe the rest was kind of aimed towards the younger audience. There was definitely more kind of childish antics. Which again, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just, can we mix it in with a few of the other characters having adventures? Or, I only got to see a little bit of Niku this episode, and I really like Niku. He's my favourite character so far, and, he's so sweet and innocent, so I want to see more of him. Show me more Niku, But yeah, I'd love to know what you think of this. You thought of this episode, guys. Let me know how your impressions are, firstly, of the show and the first 3 episodes. Thank you for watching. There'll be more videos through the week, but the next review will be up next week after the 4th episode. So I'll see you there.